Cowboys training camp is just around the corner at long last. Feels like there's been nothing going on for far too long. If you are excited about Cowboys training camp being here, type me in the comment section right now. With Cowboys camp almost here, we're going to break down some of the top free agent targets before training camp for the Cowboys. Bunch of different names. Remember, Dallas has one open roster spot, and they have over $20 million in cap space, so they can sign anybody if they want to. Let's begin with the top name on the list. That is Dalvin Cook. I think he is the top free agent left unsigned. The Cowboys are thin right now behind Tony Pollard in terms of proven talent impact at the running back position. Now, Dallas has been on destination lists for Cook really since he was cut by the Vikings, but the team has not really shown much interest in acquiring him. They've looked in other directions. Dalvin Cook is still a good player. He is not as good as Tony Pollard, and I do think he'd be the backup or maybe 1B to Pollard's 1A, which I'm not sure is something Cook desperately wants, but that is the current reality of the situation. There's also this very real red flag. Dalvin Cook is not who he was in his prime. His numbers have declined each season. That said, he's a lot more proven than Deuce Vaughn, Ronald Jones, Malik Davis, Rico Dowdle. I mean, almost their career numbers are less than what Dalvin Cook had last season. The other big aspect here is the money. I would assume Dalvin Cook wants $7 million. That he wants the type of deal that is better than James Conner, but it's a bad running back market right now. Joe Mix took a pay cut down to $5.75 million on basically a brand new 2-year deal. That's under $6 million. That's less than what Miles Sanders, David Montgomery got in free agency. So if the Cowboys can get Dalvin Cook cheap, let's ride. I'm all in. I don't know if that's the likely outcome for Dalvin Cook, and I do think Dallas would have interest at the right price, but I don't think the price is going to be right. So what would you do with Dalvin Cook? Would you go out and sign him, ignoring the potential cost? Why for yes and for no? Go vote in the comments. 3 other backs I will mention, and I would not be surprised if, maybe not before training camp, but if we get to week 2-ish of camp and the young guys aren't emerging, I do think Dallas will explore the veteran back route if they need to. 3 notable options: Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, and Leonard Fournette. We have talked a lot about Zeke in the past. I would still be surprised if he ended up in Dallas. Kareem Hunt might actually end up being a pretty decent option from a third down perspective, but Hunt, Zeke, and Fournette all struggle from the same issue. Those guys are just not as productive as they were in their prime. Fournette, I will make note, did visit the Patriots, so we'll see how long he's actually available. But if the young guys aren't impressing, these are some of your better options in the backfield. Today's pinned comment is this: name a free agent who you want to sign. Can be any position, but they do have to be free agents. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, that's fine. Just ignore the ad because no one cares, and go get your answers in for me at the pinned comment instead. Bet I'll see some Dalton Risners in there, as I've been on board with this idea, and knowing the fact that Tyron Smith can't stay healthy, and Terrence Steele's coming off injury, if Tyler Smith has to play left tackle, who's your left guard? Is it Matt Waletzko? Is it Matt Farniok? I think Dalton Risner's better than Matt Farniok. It's a low bar, I suppose, but I get that there's been buzz that, look, Risner wasn't as good last year. Very, very accurate statement to make. I know there's been some claims of those around the NFL aren't sure how much he has left, but he just finished his first contract, and Denver was a dumpster fire. I'm not sure I'm giving up on him altogether, and I would love one more left guard option. Chuma Adoga's on the roster. Okay, Josh Ball, Awesome Richards probably needs another year to be fully developed somewhere on the left side of the offensive line. I'm not a fan of Josh Ball. Matt Farniok, the team likes him, but we haven't seen it really, so it's tough to fully trust it from that perspective. I will mention one more guard here. That's Trai Turner. Now, Risner plays on the left side. Turner would be your right guard option. And I only mention him just in case the nuclear option unfolds with Zach Martin, which I'm just going to find a way to keep Martin happy in the end because, he's a Hall of Famer and everything, and he's still a damn good football player, and he's a hell of a lot better than Trai Turner is. Turner wasn't that great last year for the Commanders. He's kind of very much on the decline. I'm not even sure he's going to get signed in time for camp. Maybe if injuries hit, he'll go somewhere. But I think the best of Trai Turner is very much gone at this stage. Now, today's Cowboys Report is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Let's face it, after all hitting me with a bunch of super chats, I don't always bounce back that well the next day. That is, until I found Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it the most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Z-Biotics comes in a case, looks just like this, and they come in 6 individual bottles. Small, easy, lightweight, and simple to transport because, to be honest, you're probably going around, you're doing things, right? It's the summer, you're out having fun. You want to be able to transport it easily. It's another big bonus there for Z-Biotics. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code, or scan the QR code on the screen now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription as well, so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code CHATSPORTS at checkout for 15% off. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Yannick Ngakoue next up here. Is Edge a big need? No, not really. But he is one of the better free agents left unsigned, so I wanted to make mention of him. The role for Ngakoue, I think he could crush it in Dallas as the third pass rushing option, where you just say, you know what, we're not going to have you be a run defender, where he's not that great in the first place, and say, go tee off, go have success as a pass rusher there. And that's what he's done in his NFL career. Look, the tackle numbers, the TFL numbers are not that high. He's not a great run defender. But as a pass rusher, he's been pretty steadily consistent over the years. 9 sacks, 10 sacks, 8 sacks, 8 sacks. He's been an 8-sack player. Those guys aren't the easiest to find. The issue is, do you need an edge? Not really. You have Micah, Tank, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, who I want to see break out this season. Dante Fowler, Tyus Wheat, Ben Banigu's on the roster, Darrell Jones. So is Ngakoue better than some of those guys? Absolutely. But it's also a numbers game for you and a numbers game for the player. Does he want to have to compete for a job? No, he just signed with a team like the Bears that desperately need more pass rush help. Deion Jones leads several linebackers. We'll discuss now. His career is on the decline. He was okay-ish for the Browns. The tackle numbers were still pretty high back in 2021, but it disguised the fact that his coverage ability is not what it used to be. But this is a Dan Quinn guy. He knows Dan Quinn. And there are some concerns about where this linebacking core sits in terms of reliability. Leighton, Vander, Esch, when he's healthy, he played actually really well last season. I'm excited about the young guys, Damone Clark, DeMarvion Overshown, Devin Harper, who I think we're all sleeping on, Jabril Cox. But if those guys struggle in camp, this is a good path to pursue a veteran option because the young guys would then need more time. And there are several notable veteran free agent linebackers beyond Deion Jones. There's Rashaan Evans. There's Miles Jack. There's Kyle Van Noy, Zach Cunningham, Quan Alexander. Are those guys great? Not really. But if you're searching for that Anthony Barr-esque player, just like this time last year, you could find somebody at that spot. I'd say running back and linebacker are 2 good areas to monitor for that classic Cowboys mid-camp pickup. I'll also mention some kickers. This would also be a mid-camp addition if Tristan Vizcaino and your new guy, Brandon Aubrey, don't fare very well, or at least if one of them does not fare well. 5 veteran guys, Mason Crosby, Ryan Succop, Randy Bullock, the recently released Michael Badgley, and Nick Folk in the event he's cut or traded, probably cut by the Patriots there. Those are the veteran options. They all have very big red flags because several teams need kickers. Despite those guys being vets and known commodities, everyone's like, don't know about that one. You can throw Robbie Gould, of course, in this category as well. Maybe you replace him with Nick Folk, just mentioning that one. So I guess it's 6 kickers. Those are if your other guys don't work out. The Cowboys have 2 kickers right now. They're not going to sign a third for camp, but they'll keep their eye on others in case the current 2 don't impress. So what is your confidence level in the Cowboys kicker options right now? Tristan Vizcaino, Brandon Aubrey. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10, of course, on the high end. Julio Jones. This is going to be the DeAndre Hopkins spot, right? Yeah, but he signed with the Titans. The wide receiver market, frankly, is pretty bad. And I don't believe that Julio Jones really has that much left in the tank. The regression has been stark for Julio Jones. 2019, okay, he goes for 1,000 yards. He's still good. Then ends up in Tennessee, and it's like, oh, this is bad. And then ends up in Tampa, and it's like, well, the Bucs tried, but he wasn't really all that great either. And it's just kind of a situation where there are not good options for Julio Jones. I don't know if he has enough left in the tank. So in the event that guys like Jalen Tolbert, Fehoko, Kevontae Turpin, etc., if those guys don't emerge, maybe you try to find somebody else from that perspective. Maybe the trade market where roster cutdown time makes a little bit more sense than trying to go the veteran free agent route at wide receiver, because the options are really just not that appealing. One more name that I'll throw out there as an idea, Isaiah Rodgers. Now, I would wonder if it's kind of a, hey, you guys can't really sign him, like secret blackballing from the NFL, because the Colts cut Rodgers after he bet on NFL games. Year-long suspension minimum. They didn't have to cut him, but they chose to do so. Rodgers was a fairly promising young corner before the suspension. We saw some flashes in his game in about half the snaps this past year. Put up pretty decent numbers, a little high on the touchdowns, but the yards and completion percentage was not that good. You can always lean on Stephon Gilmore for some added insight there, but this would be a sign him, stash him for a year, bring him back, and then hope he can impact you when you might have some depth issues next year. Trevon Diggs is a free agent. Stephon Gilmore, Jordan Lewis, Nashawn Wright, Kelvin Joseph may or may not be with this team by the time week 1 comes around. So it's an outside-the-box idea. It might make more sense next offseason, but it is one just to monitor.